Well, good day, good day, good day. I hope everyone is enjoying their morning. Here it is, if I'm not mistaken, 16 March. I've noticed, even in the year 2025, that I often listen to other live chats on YouTube, and sometimes it tickles me because if the person doesn't say something about a particular time, I have no idea what day their chat might be occurring. And it dawned on me that maybe from time to time I should say what the date is when I'm speaking. Not that it matters much, but that it would be something to kind of keep track of any chat that you may have listened to, or to say, hey, I heard that on whatever day. You have to forgive me. That was just a thought I had. I have random thoughts sometimes, and I think, let me tell people what my random thought is for this morning. Once again, good morning, good morning. Welcome to a Sussex friendly space. Here at All for Success, with an X, means that we will discuss sometimes the point of view, the framework, or things that are happening in and around our wonderful Sussex family. That being Prince Harry, his beautiful wife, Meghan Sussex, and their two children, Lilibet and Archie, right? As we are beginning to understand a few things as items are being rolled out into the public arena, it is more and more prevalent to all of us listening, watching, and feeling out the environment that Harry and Meghan are contemplating, they are musing, they are also working and thinking about what they are going to do in and around their household. Now, the interesting thing about these two is they are also trying to navigate a live minefield. And by minefield, for those of you who might be a little unfamiliar, would be an area that's an open field, but for whatever reason, life altering bombs and explosives are buried beneath, where you may not be able to see them. That comes from or harkens back to the old days of open spaces and battlefields, actual warriors on one side, warriors on another side, coming at each other to meet in the middle. Warfare today is very different, but that is something that we all have to look out for. So, with that, I want to welcome all of you to a morning of All for Success. If you are planning to get yourself a cup of coffee, sit and listen to me ramble for a little bit, that would be a great idea. Or if you're exercising or out walking and you have your headphones in, probably by the time I complete this chat, depending on your pace, you could have covered maybe a mile or two. If you're walking, biking, much more, right? So I hope that you enjoy listening to what I might be saying. If you can comment, feel free to do so. If I have an opportunity, I'll try to have your comment responded to if I can see it. And we will go from that point forward. So get your coffee ready. I got coffee this morning. I just want to let you know. My morning coffee is a pistachio flavored coffee. It's something new I hadn't had before, and it is quite tasty, sweet, and very good. Now, I am one of those people that I drink coffee. I should correct myself. This morning, it's matcha latte. So in place of the coffee, it's the green tea extract, right? The green tea mixture. And so I'm going to see how that works because I am one of those people that I love coffee every morning. It is what gets me going, and I love to get myself revved up by having a cup of coffee. It is so important. So let's see if I'm in the right spot. It doesn't look like I am. let's see. Sometimes I have to also fumble with my work while it's in production. So bear with me here as I try to figure out where I am in this wonderful setup. I'm not exactly sure if I'm in the right place. So you all get to see behind the curtain here. Let's see what I'm creating as I am working. And while I'm doing that, I want to show you something. Let's see if you can see this. This is kind of my introduction. I want you to watch. I'm going to see if I can play this a couple of times. The first time you can listen to what these folks are saying, if I don't get a copyright strike. And then secondly, if you're able to see this, I want you to watch the hands of the people in this scene, if you can see it.
Watched it for hours and hours this morning, but I'm afraid it didn't get much better.
Did you all see that?
Watched it for hours and hours this morning, but I'm afraid it didn't get much better.
Rebecca, you looked, when I greeted you earlier today, like you'd been through some sort of an ordeal after watching it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I lost the will to live after the episode about making ice cubes, I'll be honest.
How do you make ice cubes?
Yeah.
Pray tell.
But I have to say, I went into it with an open mind, and actually I would say a little bit of a high bar, because I think she was very successful, or moderately successful with the TIG, with her pre-Harry lifestyle website and blog. So I thought, actually, this is something she knows something about.
I'm hoping that you guys could see that. I'm hoping that you could hear some of the things that were being said there. I copied that little clip from a UK produced show called Palace Confidential. And in there is wonderful Richard Eden and the young lady who is the lead correspondent to the royal family, Rebecca English, I believe is her name, I think. Her job, of course, is to make sure that all the news coming from the palace is polished, lovely, and pleasant to be presented to the rest of the world. She's one of their key correspondents. What I wanted to point out to you is how they have developed this show, Palace Confidential, and actually its purpose is to tell you what's going on in and around the royal family, and of course now they have a following. I don't know how many. I'm going to say probably around 30 to 50,000 perhaps as considered followers. And then periodically, whatever these little snippets are that drop out on YouTube, usually I see the count of people responding to it somewhere around anywhere between 1 to maybe 5,000 that look like people are interacting and engaging with it. Now, the interesting thing, if you ever drop down in the comments and read some of the back and forth of what they're talking about, you only get kind of a sycophantic response to whatever they were saying. Like, I think Charles is doing, comments like this, okay? I think Charles is doing such a wonderful job. They're very canned responses, like so-and-so, XYZ, insert whichever female in the royal family you like. They looked so lovely at this event, and they're so charming and so considerate to the people that they're talking to. The canned responses are almost as if they were produced by a scriptwriter. And I think that what I see there is absolutely hilarious. To me, it is hilarious to watch as the attempt to make them seem significant is created. It is hilarious because the struggle that they have is enormous. Okay, I'm going to try to get my slides organized here. And let's see if I can get this done properly. I do not know why I'm having such a time, but we will see if I can find what I'm looking for. Right. So let's see what we can do here. Let's see if you can see these the way I would like for you to be able to see them. Okay. This is the part of the show. Let's see. This is where I come in and I talk about whether or not we're having technical difficulties that will end the show. But what do they say in the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus? The show must go on. So we are going to continue on with our approach to the Sussex family and Sussex Family Fun. Now, the reason I showed you that earlier clip is I wanted you, if you will, to investigate how these people move their hands when they are speaking. Why is that, you might say? Well, it has come to my attention often that, in general, speakers feel like they can emphasize a particular point or a key phrase or a particular point of view by the way they move their hands, the way they flourish their hands about. What's interesting about that is, for those of you who are in the know in public speaking, these are tactics, and these are also visual cues. And it is interesting how your thoughts can be somewhat reinforced depending upon how someone is moving in a speech environment. And if you ever notice Richard Eden and Rebecca English on this talk show, if you ever get a chance to flip through a clip, I want you to watch what their hands are doing and how often they are waving their hands about in the similar fashion. Rebecca English usually brings up both hands and is constantly rotating them around outward from her, right? And Richard Eden is usually going to bring up his right hand, keep his fingers closed as he is emphasizing specific points. Now, this is always going to occur whenever they're speaking about Meghan and Harry. Of course, primarily, they're speaking about Meghan. For whatever reason, the way they do this particular talk show, it's almost as if they don't want you to notice that this show will always primarily focus on what Meghan is or is not doing and to be picked apart incessantly. And then they'll throw in for a second or two something that is anecdotal or supposed to be entertaining coming from the remaining royal family. It's a comical kind of pursuit of influence that they are putting out there. And I am certain, which is probably occurring to them as well, I am certain that it is wearing out. It is wearing thin. And the greater that the Sussex family is becoming, the more significant that Harry and Meghan become, the more ridiculous their attempt to squash them is beginning to look. It really is pathetic. You know, it's a pathetic attempt that they're making. So in these little photos I had here, these are probably seen all over the place. You're looking at the Sussex family, and I noticed, like you said, that they're continuing to present their children, in a sense, kind of in an incognito way. The pictures that they are releasing, they're generally not trying to show them full blown. They're very, very young. And so if you're going to try to pick them apart, what they look like, how they're standing, what they're saying, what their face expressions are, you're not going to be able to get that from the way that they present the shots, and generally with their back turned. I love the fact that they do that. It was brilliant of them to do that, because you're going to see the kids. You may see them in an activity, but you're actually not going to be able to focus on the children. So you've got to say, that is brilliant of them to do. So I just thought, for those who are discerning, as you watch these tabloid responders, you can tell that they are struggling with trying to show some sort of balance. And it is becoming more and more apparent with different guests that are invited on these shows that their usual function of just slamming Harry and Meghan, slam, 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 left, right, slam. That's a word, by the way, I'm pulling from YouTube, because I see that as a headline in a lot of YouTubers, especially anti-Sussex YouTubers. This person, they love to use the term slammed. This person was slammed by so-and-so. They love to use the word snubbed. And so it's becoming a ridiculous exercise in the lack of uniqueness in these products, right? They're doing the same things. All of them are saying the same things. And the actual commentaries are now being sidelined by what is real. Now commentators are being invited into the tabloid space that have a different opinion. You're now having featured personalities. Dr. Shola is one that comes to mind, who are now, when they're invited onto these tabloid shows for people, if they want ratings, now these people are saying, no, Megan's show is worthwhile if you're interested in cooking and lifestyle. And there's no reason for me to be totally critical of the presentation of the show. It is no different than many others that have come before it, right? But yet they've spent an entire half an hour on Palace Confidential picking apart every scene they could think of to pick apart. The derision. Oh, I can't imagine putting flowers in ice cubes, with derision. Decorating fruit on a plate. Oh my God, who would want to do that, with derision? I don't know if any of you are aware, there was actually a YouTuber that was laughed at ridiculously to the point of pulling down their comment, their faux rage comment, when this UK presenter talked about how she didn't have time as a parent to clean and cook for her children. And I suppose that she thought this was going to, what, make Meghan look bad? And instead, it simply illuminated the fact that she was a lazy, pitiful excuse for a parent. That you couldn't take the time to at least prepare a meal for your children, even while working, right? For those of us who live that reality, we may not do the Meghan level of expertise. But when you're parenting, even if you're on your own or struggling, you still try to do your best. That's what Meghan is talking about. That's what she's presenting. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to tell the rest of the world, you shouldn't even take your time and enjoy this. It's a remarkable stunt they're trying to pull. So, of course, when they got punched in the face from the left with her show about cooking and her presentations and her friends stopping by for Marjan and visiting from New York, then they were punched in the face from the right side because now it's been announced that, oh, she's about to do a podcast too. Haha. And guess what? This podcast right now is going to feature female CEOs. We're going to talk about women who have risen to the top ranks in their field and who are doing things, right? Because we're going to relate to people who are working hard to present themselves and support their communities. Why? Because that's what Megan is about. She's not pretending it. She's truly about it. And it's in the shadow of her putting forth her own business and telling us how she has had to work through all of the stops and the goes to get these things out to the public, which is where she would like to have them. So now we have that video production of the TIG, right? Her cooking show. And it was renewed for a second season. Bam! That's another punch in the face to the UK media, right? Right now she's doing rapid punches like someone in a kung fu action movie. Bam! There's my cooking show. Bam! Lemonada's about to be produced. Bam! Oh, by the way, I got a second season. Huh, what you gonna do about that? And so, right now, they're reeling, trying to figure out where to go and how to come back. And what they should do is sit down and be quiet and continue to fumble along like they are fumbling along and gaining the wealth that they gain when nobody is noticing. That's what they should do. They should try their best to stay quiet and out of sight. And Megan can do whatever it is Megan is doing. Okay, so it looks like the new podcast on Lemonada Media will be coming up soon. I am looking forward to that because, as you know, I am a fan of podcasts. I'm a fan of everything voice. I'm trying to work myself into that space, and I enjoy it. And I hope you all do, at least when you spend your time listening to me here on the voice work. I have fun with this. What I do struggle with is reading all of the details and understanding what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it on the social media platforms. I am struggling with that. For those of you who are not on the fan base feature, I will also be dropping a few of my presentations in that space because I'm trying to learn how to branch out, okay? So, if you are on Fanbase, when I do push forward some of these productions that I do here on YouTube, I plan to share also across Fanbase platform. So if you're there, you can sometimes listen to those in the replay, and the commentary will be a little bit more interactive and different. Okay? So, Limonado, I'm looking forward to that. And so, when she starts to do that, I cannot wait to see who are some of the people that will be featured, because there are a lot of women who are in business now, and I myself doing this type of production as a form of business, so I need to learn some of the parts of the interaction in the business world and how to do the paperwork that I need to do in order to keep this going, right? So they are struggling with the fact that that's coming up. Now, they would love to go ahead and criticize it up front, but at the moment, they don't have anything to criticize. And they've already made that mistake several times of being negative and critiquing something in a way, saying something negative about a particular production without having seen it. Thus, they found that they needed to actually watch the Netflix special before speaking about it, because they actually had a few things wrong. right? They didn't know what she was doing. And one of the key elements I noticed is, I think I mentioned before, they had made a comment about how she was working with the bees, but they weren't aware that the professional beekeeper was actually in the scene. And they had commented on that prior. So they had to figure out how to make themselves look sane about that comment. So on YouTube and in the YouTube space, no amount of clownish behavior with people throwing on a wig, pretending to be Meghan Markle, and doing these eye-rolling performances of what she is presenting, none of these things are gaining traction. Why? Because the Netflix series basically speaks for itself. And for those who like it, they like it. And for those who don't, they're not watching it. Right? So that's why I have no problem standing behind the work that she's doing here. It's excellent. So from where I sit, and again, I did put Meghan Markle, although we all know that was just the caption of the headline originally. But you know I need to change all of these now. Meghan Sussex, right? The Netflix series, no matter how they critiqued it, she was unfazed. And that is how she should stay. Totally unfazed. So listen, folks, I'm going to take a short minute here. Let me see who is here in the chats who has had the wherewithal to hang here with me like this and to spend a little bit of time listening to me ramble. If you have time, don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe button, right? And I need to go out on the streets and do a campaign and bring people to the table. Because as we watch Meghan here in this photo celebrating all the fun stuff that's coming up, that is what we've got happening here as well. I know I'm excited, and so you should be. So let's see who is here in the chat. Let's see who made it out this morning. All right, all right. It looks like Miss Lorna Williams. Welcome. Good morning, she says. Happy Sunday morning. Thank you for being here. You guys, I'm waking up slowly. As you can tell, I'm dragging a little bit, but I'm getting there. So stick with me. Thank you, Lorna Williams, for being here. Super Squatties. Another Super Squatty. I see Connie Balmer says, good morning as well. Hi, all for success. Thank you so much for being here. You guys don't know what a treat it is to see some of these super names show up here in the chat. You guys are amazing. And there you are, even chatting with each other. I love that. You guys definitely keep your comments and chats going. It's too much for me to be able to follow it all at the same time. Keen for concepts. I love it that you got the 4 there. Good morning to all. What is this, all? How is everyone today? Well, on my side of town, it is nice weather, a little bit dreary out, but it's nice. But I will say this. We did have tornadoes in our area not far from here, and we got off lucky this time. We didn't get hit directly, but the areas to the north did. So we're going to definitely throw out all kind of homage, prayer, and concern for those who are caught up in that. Once again, we have Connie Balmer here. She says, let's see, I think it's good to say, let's see if I can see that, to say when and what time you are on because others do the same. I should do that. Yeah, I need to keep my thoughts, or at least keep people apprised. I totally forget sometimes. I don't know what's going on with me. Joyce Anderson is here this morning. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to all for success. And everyone, thank you again so much for being here. You guys are too kind. And Joyce Anderson says, I am honored to be here. You all don't understand how good it makes me feel to know that someone out there is listening, even if I'm, again, moving a little slow today. Let's see what else we got down here in the bottom. Hold on, I'm rolling it on up. Lorna Williams says, I wouldn't be surprised if Meghan is starting to filming spring. Yeah, oh, okay, with Love Meghan. You know, That's possible because they put all that stuff in ahead of time. And you never know how much could be going on there in the background. And you said because fall season has already been filmed, and since it is the start of filming season in California, you could be right that she could be on to the third or fourth series already, and they put that stuff together fast. It's amazing. So we will definitely have to stand back and see if there's more to come. I hope so because a couple of the recipes I actually need to either write them down or see if they're also posted on her site, on her website. And I haven't spent as much time on the TIG site, or the not the TIG, but actually the Sussex website that she has put back up on Instagram, because I wouldn't doubt if her recipes might be somewhere there in the background. That would be nice. Okay, Joyce Anderson, I hope you are commenting on the huge hands from Beck. I hope you are commenting on the hands in the show Palace Confidential. Yeah, you have to watch their hands. It's an amazing thing when you break down what you're looking at and notice sometimes what is happening in the background. Because it's that subtle stuff in the background that many people don't catch. And that is actually what is being used sometimes to, what do you call it? Confirm what they're saying, but to also influence other people. There's so many tactics like that that are used in public speaking, and they definitely use it. Lorna Williams says that the canned response to that sideshow is possibly bots. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The responses are so methodically bland. Methodically bland. It's amazing. And it's almost like you said that they would have to try to figure out how to repeat some of the same things over and over. And Lorna Williams also noted that movement of the hands is a sign of deception and lying. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a known tactic in the world of deception and lies. It is a known tactic. And so it's one of those things that you don't think about, but it is possibly the key to why they behave the way they do. And the fact that they're able to have other people somewhat, they don't even realize that they're robotically agreeing to what is happening or what's being said. When a person is nodding when they're talking, that's also a deceptive practice. That I'm nodding up and down, nodding in agreement while I'm talking to you, while I'm speaking to you. And these things are studied, right? Psychological. The behaviors are there. So quickly, let me jump to the next here. So let's see what the slide is, and then I'll come back and maybe wrap up there with a few more of the commentaries. Thank you all so much for placing some of your wonderful notes and features in the comments section. I find that lovely. So I put this back up again as I was noting. To me, Miss Doria is the center, somewhat the glue and the foundation to maintaining that family throughout this struggle. She appears to have been fairly consistent, right? The other family, the other side of the family, the husband, Thomas Markle, that side of the family, they are simply something else. And I don't believe they actually shared a true, what I would call a true affection for those family members. If I didn't know any better, and I don't, I would think that they were originally a part or a party to some form of commune/cult lifestyle, wherein their interactions are just completely alien to us. It's foreign to us. We don't understand it. You know, I wouldn't doubt that, not for a moment, because their behavior is just so far out of the box. But at the same time, they probably are the type of people, and we've seen this. There are people all over the planet that they only know to try to derive favor from those they feel are in the most power. And so they will betray everyone in and around them as long as it curries their favor by the person they perceive to be in power. It's the situation of the person who is groveling at the foot of an abusive employer, turning in his other coworkers simply because it puts him in proximity of favor from that abusive employer. And that mentality is prevalent. But it would appear that someone like Megan, someone like Doria, of course Harry, they just simply have disconnected from that manner of operation. They're not showing favor, right? And thus it is a problem. So let's see. Joyce Anderson also is saying, when I was young, with young and a mother, I put my whole heart into my family. I am a widow and an empty nester. I made breakfast every morning, lunch every day, and dinner every evening. Kudos. Wonderful. You see what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Now, see, that deserves an applause. I'm going to put in a fake applause here, but it's part of a real applause, right? Why is that? Because that's simply just part of being the mom. It's a hard job. It's a job that goes on and on. Lorna Williams says, I agree. I totally agree with Joyce. Right? And you have to know that in the world of parenting, it is tough to think you know what parenting is when you're a child. But parenting is something different when you have the children. Trust me, I am with you. I have adult children. That's why I tell you about this posting, this podcast for me, or I'm sorry, this YouTube. I'm coming from the perspective of a mother of adult children. Harry and Meghan really could be my children as well. I would be in the Doria Diana framework mindset. How do you want to see your children treated by the world? How do you want to see your children in the world? Even if they're doing something that's not quite on the up and up, you still want the best for your children. Even if you do a job, and I'm going to laugh with you, you said you made all those meals morning, noon, and night. I tried to keep something edible. I wouldn't say I was Megan level cooking in the kitchen, but I tried to make what we had work. And I was fortunate enough to have children that were healthy and maintained their well-being, and I wanted to see them do well. And thus the same for Harry and Meghan. That is exactly how I see them and exactly where I come from. It's amazing. So we're here to support them in that endeavor. And Connie Balmer is saying, yeah, liars having nothing else to do. That's all they have to do is continue to lie. They don't really have a lot more going on except the lies that they tell. Right? That's the one thing they have going for them. So I want to tell you guys again, thank you so much for being here. And I'm being, like I said, a little bit more timid today, only because I feel the weather seeping into my bones. But it's wonderful when you can help take care of the family in that way. And so what Megan's show does is it gives you other ideas and other tips, things that you can do and add to add a flair to what you already are doing. That is to me the way the show was presented, and I love those tips and tricks. No different than, say, Martha Stewart, right? Or any of the other shows about cooking and gardening. And I am going to feature in the community eventually some of my own small clips of beginning my own gardening, because it's that time of year. I'm about to put that stuff in the ground. So I'm going to share some of that with you as well. And it's fun. You'll love it. So we're definitely going to stay connected and stay active. And I'm about to wrap it up. So right before I wrap it up, as you all always know, I like to invite you to perhaps something that passed through my thoughts, a scripture that I pulled from the Bible. And remember, this is without any type of cult-like recruitment tool, all right? I'm not trying to get you to become something that you're not. I just hope that when I read something that I found in the scripture, that maybe you'll be interested and say, well, let me look into what that's coming from, what was happening before or after this was said, and why is this lady even talking about this? So listen, before I go, and as we are about to wrap up, and then I am going to fan out this afternoon listening to some of the wonderful details being put out by these super squatties that are down in the receipts. I love that stuff. They'll give me a lot of information about what is going on in the day to day. But today we're going to pull from John, listen, chapter 8, verse 44. That's where you can start. But there's a conversation prior to this. And what's happening is there's a conversation, and I've probably pointed this out before, but for whatever reason, this verse keeps coming to mind, even though I may have repeated it before. It says the response is from Jesus, right? He's being, well, the conversation is as if the opposition is tempting the Lord, right? And the response is, you are of, you are your father. You are your father, because the opposition is trying to tempt the Lord with various kingdoms and various rulerships, basically waving their hand over the planet Earth and saying, I can give you anything that's here. In other words, indicating some level of ownership to what is here, right? And saying, you know what, you really need to give up on trying to do good and do what's right. I'll give you whatever you want. And so the response is, you are of your father. In other words, you are just like your father, the devil. And your will is to do your father's desires. He further says he was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. That's what's cut off. Okay? But that is an intriguing interaction that for those who are um, who are led to read a little bit more, it's an intriguing characterization of what that conversation is about. It really is. Because you'll be surprised at how that conversation comes about. So we continue with Psalms 9 and 15. And sometimes this is to give you a purview of how things are looked at in the world we're living in. And it says, this is Psalms 9:15, that the nations have sunk in the pit that they made, and are in the net that they hid. They put a net out to catch things. They hid it. But now their own foot has been caught. Right? To me, these two scriptures kind of give me that vibe of what you're watching happen from the UK point of view, to me, their perspective. They lie continuously. And the source of the lies, right, is from within themselves, that they are of the liar and that it is their origin, murderous, right? That is their will, that's their desire to not stand in truth. And then, of course, in Psalms, we are reminded that traps that you put out and holes that you dig and barriers that you put up sometimes for others will actually catch you up in its own snares. So I hope that that is entertaining to you, and maybe that leaves you with another thought too, some kind of a mindset that you might say, well, that's interesting. I wonder what that might be getting at. I hope that's how you think of it. And I want to tell you guys, thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. I want to say to you, of course, stay active, connect positively, and accept already your victory. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Give yourselves a round of applause.